Okay, so today we're going to show you how we make a super basic pasta. Everybody does their pasta a little bit differently, but the way we like to do it is we use 100% ground semolina. A lot of times people use 50-50. They do semolina and they do double O flour. I have my big helper with me today. This is my little guy, Vinny. And we're going to show you the basics. So the first thing that I like to do, I always have extra semolina on hand, but the first thing that I like to do is I like to make a little mountain with the semolina. And then Vin will show you how we make a well. Go ahead, do the well in the middle. Your finger. You go right into the middle of the semolina and you make it look like a little bit of a volcano. It's really not as hard as what you think.
This is really satisfying.
Okay, well come on, go all the way down. All right, there we go. So the reason why we're making a well is because we're going to be cracking our eggs and putting it in the center of the well. I like to make my well a little bit bigger than that, so we'll go right there, okay? And then, after we add our eggs, with this amount of flour, which is basically, it's a little over a pound, we're going to do 2 eggs on this one, okay? And we put our eggs in the middle. And then we're going to add a little bit of olive oil and a little bit of salt. So we like to add a pinch of salt and just a little drizzle of olive oil into our mixture. Okay, am I drizzling? And then you're mixing. So we're going to go like that. Okay. And now, Vincent will start beating the eggs up inside the well. You're going to break both of the egg yolks first. Break your yolks first. And then start mixing them together. And then we'll start to slowly add some water as we need it in order to make our mixture all come together and bind. So you'll see that it's all starting to bind. And the way you can tell is you're going to look at your fork. And you're just going to go like this. And then it's going to be a pretty decent sized clump. So now, what I do is I like to press it down with my hand, like this. You can also do this in a mixer. Here, move your little hand. Okay. You can also do this in a mixer, but I like to do it by hand. I like to feel the dough and just to make sure that it's the right consistency for the way I like it. There's no right or wrong way, but the traditional way is usually by hand and with rolling pin. All right, are you going to roll with me today after I get it mixed up, or what? Who's rolling today?
Maybe.
Maybe? Okay.
Maybe.
So now, the way that we're going to do this is we are going to mix our dough together. As you can see, it's starting to come together in big clumps, okay? Which means that it's close, but, you know, to forming, but we're not there yet, and it's obviously dry. So I always keep a cup of water on hand, but I never end up using an entire cup of water. You have to do it by feel. There's no right or wrong measurement because it depends on your semolina. It depends on the way you mixed it. It's, you know, the consistency that you like to have. Okay. As you can see, it's already starting to form. And we're going to start pulling it into a log, just like this. Okay. There we go. And then folding it and pressing it together. It takes a little bit of elbow grease, but it's really totally worth it to have the fresh pasta. You can feel that the elasticity is starting to form in the dough. And you can see that altogether it probably took me about 3 minutes to get this dough made and to get it to this point. So it's really not a long process at all. I like to use the base of my palm in order to pull the dough side to side and give it the nice elasticity. And then just keep a rolling motion. We have our dough formed and we have it in a nice little ball. Again, I'm going to keep some semolina down here on the table. And I'm just going to form it into a nice little ball like that for now. That's what it's going to look like. And then I like to add just a drip of olive oil in my hands, rub it together, and just rub it over the dough because the dough is going to sit covered now for at least a couple hours. You can do just 1 hour, but at least a couple hours today because we have some other plans. We left our pasta dough sitting out covered under plastic. So we're going to take it off, and the first thing we're going to do is actually cut a slice like this. Now, I always like to put a little bit of extra semolina right onto our board that we're working on. And in this case, we're actually just working right onto the island. And I'm gonna start pressing it down. Now, you do need to have a pasta machine with this one. So what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna come right over here and use the pasta machine. We always start it off at 1, and then after 1, we're gonna change it into 2, 3, 4, and then 5 before we move to this side and do the fettuccine. And my little helper is gonna start cranking. Go ahead, bud.
Cranking and cranking.
Make it a little tighter. There you go. Okay, go ahead. All right. Stop. Wait a minute. Okay. So now we like to add a little bit of semolina on each side.
So
and we're
it
going to
doesn't
push
break
it through.
apart.
Yep, so it doesn't break apart and so it doesn't stick. That's why we're actually adding semolina. Okay, good job. Good job. All right. And then we're going to switch it to 3. That's 2, so you can see. Can't see through it quite yet. Okay, go ahead. Crank it out. Now you don't have to worry about the fact that your sides are a little bit rigid. So you don't have to worry about the fact that one side has a little bit of a ridge because you are going to trim that off. But first we're just going to get the pasta to the consistency that we like. So here we go. We're going to go through one more time. There you go. Keep cranking. All right, good. And now we're going to change it to 4. Oh, we're getting thinner. Go for it.
Wait, isn't it making it fatter?
Well, no, you're making the dough thinner.
Yeah, but the sides are.
Technically, yes, you are making it wider. Okay. And then 5 is, go ahead, you can start cranking. There we go.
Wait,
And you can see how long it's getting. And 5 is the consistency I like for fettuccine. So I'm just going to show you what it looks like
And
now
then
with
we
my
put it
finger
up on?
through. Okay, so now obviously this is going to be way too long. So I just cut it in half. And I just try to go as close to half as possible. And then we're going to take the little lever out here. And we're going to move it to this side. I'm going to come on that side of you, buddy. Okay? All right, watch out. Okay, so now we'll adjust it ever so slightly so you can see this side. All right, ready, bud?
Now you gently crank them up.
Yeah. It's always nice when you have an extra set of hands.
Now eventually the dough will turn flat.
Okay.
And it turns into
So then we're going to show you what we have
fettuccine.
here. So see, this is the little ridge that I was telling you about, and we just save that for the pasta for afterwards. And then you have all of your perfectly cut fettuccine by hand. And what I like to do is put it on my perfectly cut. I like to put it on my wood frame right here, which holds it and separates it, and it makes them dry. After your pasta dries, the easiest thing to do is just move the whole rack over. Make sure your water is salted and boiling, and then you can just basically take off, row at a time, however you want to do it. I kind of like to take big chunks, but you'll see this is what the pasta looks like, and I'm going to drop all of it right into the water so that it all cooks virtually at the same time. It takes about, I'll say about 3 to 4 minutes for the fettuccine to cook all together at the absolute most. And I like to remove them one at a time, but you'll see it's stiff, but it's not rock hard. It's not like when you do box pasta. As soon as the pasta is done, I like to put a little bit of my marinara at the bottom, and then put my pasta right in. Final step in my pasta, I like to grate some fresh pecorino romano all the way around. And then top with fresh basil leaves out of my garden. And that's it. Fettuccine marinara.